All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SIG Cluster Lifecycle Cluster API Provider Azure Office Hours for September 29th, 2022. As you probably know, we are abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which you can read about, but basically boils down to everybody be kind to each other and try to use the raise hands feature in Zoom so we don't talk over each other. Yeah, and if you would like to add your name to the attendees list, just so people can network later or whatever, please do so. This is also a time where if somebody is new here, it'd be great if you want to say hi and identify yourself. I'll be quiet for a minute so you can just unmute and do that if there's anyone who wants to.
Hi, this is Jorge Luna from Microsoft.
Cool, thanks for coming.
Hi, everybody. Oh, sorry, okay, go ahead. Hey,
everyone, this is Kamala Kindle. I actually work with Joaquin and Jorge, so glad to be here.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody, this is Joaquin Rodriguez. I also work with AK and Jorge. Glad to be here.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Always good to have new people. All right. Not much of an agenda today, but we'll see. Things often evolve. Cecile, do you want to talk about the patch releases?
Yeah, just a quick PSA that we have 2 patch releases that came out yesterday, one for the 1.4 release and one for the 1.5 release. They each have the same content, which are 3 bug fixes that were identified over the past few weeks. Thanks, Ashutosh, for making some of the fixes in there and also pushing for release. So yeah, check it out. And then if you have any questions, please let us know.
I messed up the link there somehow. Stop me from typing, please. There. Cool. Any questions about the patches? Do we have any other
Jack has a hand up.
Oh, sorry. Why can I not see that? I have the window open. Go ahead, Jack.
Friends, so we have a light agenda today, but we have lots of folks here. Should we maybe do some 1.6 milestone jamming? Would that be, we'll put that up for a vote. Do the ayes have it? Do the nays have it? Cool.
Sounds good to me. I mean, milestone review is one of the things we do at the end, and we haven't really done that, so. Oh, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, and Cecile asks if there are any other topics that we want to discuss ad hoc. I could give or questions, yes. Time permitting, I could give some updates on the Azure Managed Cluster story, but I think milestone 1.6 would be probably the best use of our time. We're actually not that far away given we do bi-monthly releases.
So I guess we need to create it.
Yes, that was also, thank you, Matt. I feel like, so I cut 1.5 and in the back of my mind, I was thinking, did I do all the milestone cleanup I needed to do? So we've answered that in the negative.
Looks like we have a hand up. I can go ahead.
Hi, hello. I was wondering, I took a look at the open issues and didn't see anything that was obvious for using the cluster class feature with managed clusters. So I was wondering if that was on the radar before creating a new issue for that.
That is such a good question. I don't feel like I am absolutely certain the answer to that question, but my intuition is that cluster class and Azure Managed Cluster just sort of work. Cecile is more skeptical about that.
No, I think we still need to, I think the main missing part is the cluster template. So for non-managed clusters, we had to add Azure cluster template in order to get cluster class working. I think we'll have to do the equivalent change with managed cluster. So Azure managed cluster template is still a missing piece. And yeah, I think we need an issue tracking that, and we don't have one right now. So feel free to open one if you'd like to see that happen.
Awesome. And Sashi just mentioned the templates, or what would be required, the cluster templates for using cluster class.
Sorry, say that again.
So the issue would be for adding the templates required to use cluster class with managed clusters.
Sorry, by template, I don't mean like template as in YAML template, just there's a CRD called Azure cluster template, which is basically a something that cluster class uses to then make individual clusters from that template. And so we need the equivalent for managed cluster. So it would be adding that CRD. I can send you a link to the cluster template if that helps. But
yeah,
I think
awesome.
that's an implementation detail. So I think the issue could just be generally like supporting cluster class with managed clusters, and then we can write down the steps needed in there if you get that open.
Awesome, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yep, thanks, Cecile. Could you actually, do you mind adding some context as to your use case? For wanting cluster class plus Azure Managed Cluster? Go ahead.
Yeah, the main use case currently is using Lifecycle hooks, using the runtime Lifecycle hooks, and from the information I got from the cluster API Slack channel, that's only supported when you use cluster class. So using just the cluster CRD currently does not work with the Lifecycle hooks extension feature. So we're hoping to get that working for some of the work we're doing.
Cool. That sounds 100% reasonable. That's like the canonical reason to want cluster class, I think.
Cool. Any other things you want to talk about, or should we go back to 1.6? Let's go back to our new milestone.
So date, it looks like we released 1.5 on, it was due on the 7th. I'm not sure if we actually released it on the 7th, but
We're a little
want
late.
to add 2 months. Does that mean November 9th?
Something like that.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on the date? Just a quick parenthetical retro type comment. I found it hugely helpful having the date in advance for 1.5. So I'm really happy that we're planning this in advance. Go ahead, Cecile.
Yes, Cecile.
I guess in the spirit of retro comments, does anyone else have any, like, I guess, any thoughts on how we're currently doing cadence? Like, is that working well? Or do we find that releases are coming too soon and we're not having time to get enough in there? Or is it good? I'm personally finding it working pretty well, but I don't know if others have thoughts.
It was a little challenging to, as Jack pointed out, to get 1.5 done exactly on the date. We were trying to, and then of course we ran into some things, and then we realized we hadn't implemented server-side apply and a couple other things. And I imagine it'll usually be like that, but it seemed like a healthy exercise, even though we slipped by a couple days. I liked being focused on a date.
Yeah, we had a little bit, not all releases will be like this, although a lot, if we continue to adhere to the latest release of CAPI, which I would vote that we do, that was the particular thing that caused a little bit of last minute grinding of teeth, just because there were some breaking changes in CAPI 1.2 that we, with the help of Stefan and other folks, we spent a couple days trying to get as much of those baked into our 1.5 release as possible. So that I don't think we'll encounter every release, but we will encounter that from time to time. And I think that was super healthy for the project.
Any other opinions on the release cadence? It's still sort of in review. Have we been doing patch releases well enough? We've been doing them almost once a week and kind of on demand, which is a little more than we used to. Yeah, Ashutosh.
Oh, no, I just raised thumbs up. I said, I'm good.
Oh, thumbs up. I can tell the difference. Sorry. Jack?
Yeah, Ashutosh, if you want to volunteer, maybe I can poll the room. What is your what is the cadence that you actually consume new releases? Are you able to aggressively update your environments with the latest CAPC bits reliably?
Yes, so far, we are good. We are able to consume and update it. And yeah, but like I don't know like how do we support dot releases? So maybe, you know, for fixing bugs, like thanks. First of all, thank you, Cecile, for helping out on that dot release. So as far as regular major releases is concerned, I think we're good. I don't see any challenges. And you know, like we may, I don't know like how dot releases are done. Like, do we have any cadence or any you know, guidelines to that? Because this time, like because of that bug, there was some downstream pipeline that got blocked for you know, a couple of days. But yeah, we got the dot release, so thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually paste a link. We have this documented, and then we can talk about it a little bit. So I think it's under, yeah. So Matt, I'm gonna try to inline add to your comments. So
it's a collaborative editing effort.
Here is the documented release. So that's something that folks can read on their own time. Briefly, the process is for what you're referring to as a dot release, what we might call a patch release as well. They're equivalent. We have recently agreed to sort of poll the community every week. So I think the convention would be during this meeting, and based on community desire. I mean, this isn't the exclusive justification for releasing a patch release, but it's probably the most common. So we would poll the community. So we can do that right now as an exercise and say, do we want to plan on releasing a 1.5.2 early next week? And so based on community feedback, that would go some ways of the way toward determining that. So it's as frequent as once a week we could cut a patch release from the head commit of the release, the N-2 release branches. So right now we're 1.5 and 1.4. Cecile?
Yeah, I had mentioned that last time we talked about this. I still think we should avoid doing any sort of consensus or community polling solely in the office hours, just because not everyone is able to make it. So I think we should start with a Slack async thread, maybe the automated reminder every week. That's the day before the office hours. And then at office hours, we can go look at the responses and say, okay, anyone else have anything to add? Should we do the release based on that information? That way we give a chance to folks who aren't in the office hours to speak up.
Yeah, thanks for adding that.
Yeah, good call.
Does anyone else have any thoughts before? I was going to add one more point, but I'll wait. Anyone else has any thoughts? Okay, cool. So my point really, Ashutosh, since we're having a conversation here, is are you finding it effective to update your environments from 1.5.0 to 1.5.1 on a cadence as frequently as every week or every 2 weeks? not that you are representative of everyone using CAPC, but I'm just curious if that's if we're doing there's any gaps in actually being able to get these releases into folks' hands as quickly as we're releasing them.
I don't have an immediate answer to this, Jack. I think I also need like a little more context on how frequent, you know, things are downstream. So maybe I'll get back to your answer, you know,
Okay,
by,
cool. Yeah, it's not, I'm honestly just curious, since we have folks here in the community,
yeah,
if these weekly releases are able to get into hands, because there's a whole practical world that is sort of hidden from us as the developers. And I want to make us aware if there's something better that we could do to make these releases more easily consumable.
yeah. Thanks, Jack, for bringing this.
Cool. So do you think we're for a 152 patch release? Should we go ahead today then try and create a Slack poll and see if we can kick it off that way? Or start that
I think the first
process?
thing is to check, do we have any new commits since 1.5.1? I think we may, but just as a sort of
that's a good idea.
check.
What's the easiest way to check that? I guess we could go to the release and it'll say 26 commits to main since this release.
I think we want to
Compared
compare
to
with
release dash
release.
1.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Sorry.
There we go. Wait.
Yeah, that seems right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And John's fix is actually pretty considerable, so I think it's worth polling and emphasizing that fix to folks who are potentially experiencing that on their clusters.
So probably on the face of it, this is good material for a patch release. I mean, if it seems obvious that we meet the criteria, we have some important fixes that we want to release, do we need to go through the polling process? We said we were going to anyway, but go ahead, Cecile.
I think given that we just released yesterday, maybe we should plan on doing another one early next week, just to give I mean, unless people think this one can't wait, but I don't think we're at the, like, this isn't a regression. This is a bug that's been there for a long time. So I don't think an extra day or two will make a huge difference. And then I think after that, maybe we can set up the regular polling for the following weeks.
Jack?
Yeah, so just to be clear, that's a great point. We actually discussed a few weeks ago in office hours, and sort of, at least the folks present at that office hours sort of voted to prefer not releasing at the end of the week. So I think there's an assumption when we talk about this polling happening toward the end of the week, that we would give folks a few days to weigh in, and that the actual release would be cut on, like, say, a Tuesday or something like that. But there was a strong preference in that discussion for releasing on Monday or Tuesday over Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. Well, Friday specifically. If we could know that we could just, knock it out right after the office hours meeting, let's say, and get it out on Thursday, that seems fine. But, things don't usually go that smoothly. And then we'd be looking at releasing on Friday, and we kind of said that's a bad idea. So the general idea is, let's wait till Monday. If we agree there should be a patch release, then it's going to happen on Monday.
Yeah, and I think we should, and I think we also talk about being flexible for if there's an emergency release, we'll be reasonable about that. But for a kind of regular weekly release, folks would feel better about a Monday, Tuesday over a Thursday, Friday.
For sure. So I guess we've done that one to death at this point, probably. So we're gonna do a patch release on Monday, it sounds like, and then try and start this notification or polling thing next week for the subsequent patch release?
No, I think we should poll and then give the community an opportunity to say, please don't cut this release because there's another bug we want to fix. So if you could wait till Wednesday, that would be hugely helpful. I think we want to give someone a chance to express that particular opinion.
Okay. Well, I can try and whip up some Slack thing today that says, hey, we're thinking of doing a release that would be next Monday. Please let us know if that's a good or bad idea. And then we can make that the template for going forward. All right. Should we try and throw some stuff into a 1.6 milestone? Is that the next thing? Cecile? Oh, thumbs up. Okay. I don't know if it's going to be reasonable to grovel through all these issues, so maybe I can kind of fly over them and people can shout out when they see something that should. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Jack has his hand up.
Well, would it be helpful? Maybe in the background asynchronously, I will be on my own browser window, retroactively tagging things that haven't been tagged a milestone at all yet to better reflect the work we've already done. That it will land in 1.6. So there's a bunch of features in main that don't have this milestone tag because it wasn't existent when that feature.
Oh, yeah. So stuff that's already been merged.
That's sort of boring work. I can do that in the background. We don't have to subject people to that because that's just partly my own fault for not tagging the release milestone 3 weeks ago.
Cecile?
I was just going to ask, is there anything still in the 1.5 milestone that should be moved over? Was that one closed, or should we close it?
We didn't close it.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, and then I was also going to say, if anyone has any ERs or issues, or specifically issues that they're tracking that they would like to see get into the next release, maybe it'd be helpful to paste those links in the chat or in the agenda somewhere so we can take a look at those and kind of crowdsource.
Sounds good. There's nothing in 1.5, so we can go ahead and close it. Let's do that. I'll click this and everybody's motor neurons can follow me and get a little dopamine there. Or mirror neurons, sorry. Right, so for 1.6, machine pull bootstrap token does not get refreshed automatically. I don't know, I hesitate to drill into any of these because then we'll all be here for another half hour. So I'm just gonna stay at this level and if people want to shout out the numbers of the bug or put it in chat or something like that, we can use that as a process to. E2E test script should not edit files outside of gitignore.
Yeah, that one's related to when you like run the test script locally. It like changes a bunch of files that you don't want to commit, and a lot of people like commit it like by mistake. So that's something we would change. Yeah. And also like one of the files it changes messes up tilt. So it like a lot of people might not understand why their tilt is not working after they run like an end-to-end test script.
So you think, is this something you're likely to fix or someone's likely to fix in the next month or two? We can add it to the milestone.
Yeah, sure. This might be more complicated than before because on the surface, because Cecile mentioned they tried to fix it before, but there was like some design that didn't allow it to be changed. But I'm happy to like work on it and see if I can get it done.
I guess we should do it this way. Hey. Retry after data should be evaluated in API responses. You working on this, Jack? You assigned it, so Should this be in 1.6?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. If we're already too in the weeds for some people attending the meeting, then please feel free to drop off. But hopefully this is of use to people. Oh wow, how'd I get way down here? Resource health and service health in Azure Managed Cluster status. What do you think, Cecile?
I don't know if this is necessarily a next milestone since we don't have an assigned yet, but
Okay.
next few milestones, hopefully.
Um,
This one is definitely not next milestone.
okay.
That's a long-term effort.
Azure Edge Zone. Sounds cool. I don't think that's for the next milestone. What do you think?
The person who opened the issue actually said they were about to open a PR. So if we see a PR, I think we can add it to the milestone. But for now, it's okay to leave it.
Makes sense. Azure Cluster Object is continuously updated with cluster class. That's a bummer. Ashutosh?
Yes, this is a issue that I think Jack has already raised the PR. We discussed it, I think, in last office hours. We need to actually get server-side apply integrated. And for that, we need to put tags on the Go structures so that server-side apply works fine. Otherwise, TLDR is that the topology controller from the CAPI side, as well as, the CAPZ controller, they kind of compete with each other and end up updating the object, continuously. And more details and findings I have already pasted in the issue. So,
Cool.
but I think there is some comment on the PR, and we are not sure of a field that could act like a primary key, something like that. So I'll need to circle back on the PR. Jack, you have any comments?
I think it should definitely go into the release milestone for 1.6, and it will be backported once we. So I actually think we just need to lean in a little bit, and there's some good conversation. I feel like we're almost there in the PR thread.
Awesome.
Cecile might offer some additional thoughts, but do you agree with that, Cecile?
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I kind of preemptively added it to the milestone when I saw that issue in the background. But yeah, I definitely agree it should be in there.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And thanks for giving context, Ashutosh.
Yeah, thanks for adding it to the milestone. I just realized it was already there. And the next one is as well, so we'll skip over that. Rate limiting and 429 back off for Azure in general sounds like a big deal.
Yeah, this is sort of epic-ish. I would add it to the milestone.
Yeah, okay.
We're actively working on this.
Why is my back button? Oh, there we go. Memory leak in the controller. This is bad, but I don't think anybody's working on it. But arguably, we really should prioritize this because it looks consistent and reproducible. But I'm not going to add it to the milestone unless someone disagrees with me, because we don't have a commitment to do the work, really. Remote peerings are left in a disconnected state instead of being deleted. Help wanted, so it's pretty much by definition not going to be in the milestone. Yeah, that's definitely like vNext or something, adding the Kubescape scanner to all the tests. AKS preview features, we talked about this a lot recently. I don't know, this probably isn't going to happen that quickly, right, John? Do you think?
Yeah, I would say this probably is not going to happen in the next milestone.
Cool. Add the CAPI visualizer to E2E tests. That would be nice, but probably not milestone worthy, I guess. Please disagree with me if I'm wrong. Allow users to create service endpoints.
I think that one
This-
should definitely be in there.
Yeah, this is almost there.
Nice. Is Mike here? Not yet. He said he was going to miss most or all of the meeting. Sorry, I'm having some JavaScript weirdness here. Show resource diffs for AKS clusters, help wanted. So I'm going to assume if it's help wanted, we're not putting on a milestone. Node should have label of corresponding VM resource ID VM name.
I think that based on the lack of response that we should close this issue and just politely invite the submitter to reopen if
Sounds good. Um, come on. Custom repositories for all container images. Said I wasn't going to drill into these, but I am doing so.
Yeah, this is also not next. This is long term, not
Okay.
this current milestone.
Node labels update, remove AKS system labels. I'm going to say this isn't going on a milestone because we don't, doesn't have a PR and etc. Windows cluster with cloud provider external does not work, really? I'm not really sure what the status is here. I guess by default, I'm not going to put it on the milestone unless we have some indication of progress. Rationalize scope context passing. That merged. Is this closed now, Jack, or is there still other areas? Or that was just the one area?
that's right. Yeah, this will not be, I don't think we'll figure this out in this milestone.
Cool. Oh, I skipped over this one. Allow AKS clusters use VNet and subnet from different resource groups.
That one's in progress. So I think should be in the milestone, and also Logan should be assigned. They're working on it.
I think I just put that in the milestone. So I am going through the PR queue and adding those to the milestone in the background. Just FYI. So the release 1.6 milestone should have some stuff in it.
You added this one already?
I added I'm going through the PR queue, so I added
Okay.
the PR to the milestone.
I'll do this so everything agrees. Control, okay, help wanted is not going in the milestone.
That one actually,
Yeah.
Willie was working on it, but I just closed it because it was fixed
Okay,
by John's GR. The one we're talking about releasing.
awesome. Oh yeah. spot instance eviction policy should be configurable. That would be cool. Probably not going in the milestone though.
Can we look at this for a second,
Yeah, of course.
if you don't mind? So this is really a matter of, if anyone feel free to speak up if you have context. This is a matter of just wrapping the Azure VMSS spot feature surface area inside our CRD configuration surface area.
Yeah, I think so.
I probably am not allowed to do this work, but this seems like pretty valuable stuff. I would vote that maybe we aspirationally include it in the milestone and we can see if we can find someone to do the work.
Should we mark
Doesn't
it
seem
as
like a
help?
ton of work either. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Should we mark it as help wanted? Yeah.
I think so. But I don't feel like we should put it in the milestone if it's help wanted yet. What do you think?
I guess it depends if we see the milestone as being something where we're predicting what's going to be in the release, or if it's like aspirational or like what we're targeting or what we'd like to get in the release.
Yeah, it's
I
a good
feel like
question. I feel like I treat the milestone as a default prioritization signal, and because we don't have a prioritization, we don't prioritize issues in any other way. So I'm not saying that that's how we should be doing it, but when I add something to the milestone, it's a way of expressing priority. So when if I'm someone who's like, okay, I want to pop an issue off the queue, there really is no way to do that other than maybe personal preference. But if you go to the milestone first and you see there's a help wanted issue in the milestone, that would be signal for that user to do that work first of all.
Yeah, my personal take is it's aspirational, but should be achievable. And so then I resist putting stuff on here that we don't have anyone committed to. But I don't think it. I don't have any real problem with putting on the milestone. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But hopefully. This is another help wanted. Oh yeah, I put this in.
I think I added that one earlier. Maybe I shouldn't have, but
Nope.
yeah, we have an assignee, so, but also there hasn't been movement. I think it's okay to have it in there for now and we can follow up if it doesn't make progress.
Here's another help wanted for managed clusters. Oh, John was working on this. Do you think this might make the milestone, John, or?
No, this is blocked on the AKS preview feature stuff
Oh.
in general. So
Okay. What about this one? Make the spec type default values consistent with the SDK. Huh.
That sounds super complicated given we're trying to figure out how to make a long-term Azure SDK strategy in general.
Okay, I will leave it there. If Jonathan wants to tackle it, he will. Spot node pool, nose pool. Lose this label.
This will be what's this issue?
That
I already added
lose
it to the
this.
milestone. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that'll be fixed with a PR in flight.
Right on. Let me refresh here in case that's on the milestone. Shorten.
I would say maybe now would be a time to blow your mind with how much stuff is already in the milestone and maybe
Right.
feel like we're
This
at
one-
a good.
This one, though, is something I think John and I just found when we were looking through test grid. This might be the same bug. So it's actually killing the new tests. So this needs to go on the milestone, I'm going to say. Unless it's unrelated. But we just,
Well,
there's an error about the name being longer than 63 characters for.
right, but we
Mach-
could fix that in the test by using fewer characters. This PR or this issue suggests that we might programmatically truncate, and I think that's more controversial.
Oh, yeah, it would be. All right, we'll leave it. Do we want to call it good for today? Is that what you're intimating, Jack?
Well, why don't we check out the milestone and we can get it? We can pull the room here.
There's some good stuff on here.
Yeah, that's a lot. And have our unassigned, so.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if there's any. There might be some. So the 2681, you can assign that to Willie. This one might actually land today. Oh no, sorry, this is a different one. Actually, I'm sorry. I thought this was something different.
Oh no, yeah.
Willie, you don't have to do this work. Just because you.
I was planning.
We don't have that kind of rule. Like you find it, you do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, people can self-assign if they're working on stuff.
My brain made him. I thought I was looking at the custom view extension thing. And in fact, you are assigned to that one.
Yeah, no problem.
Ashutosh, you have a comment or a question?
Yes. So I started on one of the issue that Syam had been working in past. That is like, let me paste that issue on chat. It's like long pending one to secure the bootstrap data. And I was thinking like, should we mark it as like 1.6 milestone? Because there has already been a PR raised by Syam, and I think it should be doable. And I know, Cecil, you have asked to kind of raise a design document because the PR was mammoth. So I did some work, but got sidetracked with other activities, and I should be like acting on it. What do you think?
I think it's up to you if you think you're going to have the bandwidth to work on it in the next month or so. I think then, yeah, I think it's fine to put it in there as aspirational.
Yes.
If we're going to do a puzzle, I don't know if we're going to, and given this is a pretty significant change, I don't know if we're going to have time to merge the proposal and the PR, given that the release is planned for a bit over a month from now and there's KubeCon in the middle. But I mean,
I see.
We can try.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep it as like aspirational, and if it like rides the train, it's okay. If not, we'll change the milestone later.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thanks.
You can also mark something as lifecycle active when you just want to say, this is in progress. I'm working on this.
Sure, I'll do that.
Matt, you can assign that top issue to myself, and if Ashutosh agrees, to him as well, and I'll work with you, Ashutosh. I actually wasn't aware that you had an SSA repro, so that if you have cycles, would be hugely helpful for you to test, if you can, the changes we're making in that other PR that I'm driving.
Sure, I'll do that.
Cool.
Also, enable mutable AKS node taints. You can assign that to me. You can see that I'm just terrible at doing
enable mutable AKS node taints.
all the things. Thank you very much. And the 2667 that's a PR that's being worked on. So you can, we can do this work at async. I just wanted to suggest that I think most of these do actually have an assignee in the milestone, but there is still a lot of stuff in there.
Should I assign this to lock in then? Or
I think that's appropriate, yeah.
Okay. Any other tweaks? Or is this good enough for a first pass?
I'll do the rest of the stuff that's my job.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we just went from 0 to a huge milestone criteria in 30 minutes. Nice work.
Right. That was the end of the agenda, but do people have anything else you want to talk about before we sign off? That sounds like a no. All right, cool. We'll see everybody next week, same time. Thanks for the help with the milestone and everything. That's great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
driving,
Bye.
Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Thank you.